Welcome back, one and all, to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. Once again, we start the session. We're not actually going to be using Mog, we're going to be switching to Sabin. And Sabin is cool because unlike the other two characters who had a very short journey to Narshe, Sabin has to go on a world-spanning adventure. So here's a world map of Final Fantasy VI. Here's where Narshe is, and here's where we are. And to get to there, we're going to have to pretty much go all around this continent that we're standing on. First thing I'm going to do is put Sabin in the front row. He only needs to be there for a little while, but there's an enemy later that's going to be able to berserk him. And I want to make sure that he's in the front row for that berserk. We're also going to give him an earring, and I think anything for defense. The white cape will give him to raise his defense a little bit. I don't think he's got any new equipment. Oh, he's got a plumed hat he can put on. Oh boy. So the earring is going to make Aurabolt even stronger. First we'll talk to this guy here. I don't think he's got anything Sabin wants. But just in case you didn't buy sprint shoes before, yeah, we don't need any of this stuff. We're going to buy about 50 shurikens. Should do me just fine. Let's make sure those get sorted to the top of the inventory. There they are. Okay. So here's our buddy Shadow. We named him previously. And now he's going to join the party for a short amount of time. Death is always a step behind me. He's pretty emo. We'll go ahead and optimize him. He can use our leftovers, but we're not going to trust him with any relics or anything, because there's a chance after every battle that Shadow leaves the party. Also, there's this crazy old man. If we talk to him, he says, we're the repairman. We're not the repairman, we're the repair monk. And his buddy, the assassin. So just to make sure we don't lose Shadow prematurely, I'm going to be saving after every fight, and we're also looking for a very specific fight with a very specific monster on our way down to where we're going. Pretty sure Shadow might be able to one-shot these guys anyway, but oh, I forgot to put him in the back row. Shadow definitely belongs in the back row. But there's just a chance after every battle that he'll just be like, yeah, you know what, man, peace out. You don't need me anymore. But his special command is Throw. He basically converts weapons from your inventory into one-time use special attacks that ignore defense. Some of which can get pretty powerful. Not gonna lie. I mean, even these shurikens are pretty good for this stage in the game, especially considering their back row okay. The only weakness, I mean, my goodness, Aurabolt's doing an extra 100 damage over what it was doing previously with those earrings on. Because Aurabolt, I call it Aurabolt because that's what it was in the Woolsey translation. Or a cannon. I'm sorry. It's based on Sabin's magic attack, and we gave him a relic called the Earrings, which we got from Locke's scenario, which increases all forms of magic damage. It's kind of like the Gigas glove, but for magic instead of physical power. And we still haven't gotten the monster we're looking for, but we have arrived at our destination. So I'm going to do you kids a solid, and I'm going to hit the fast forward button after this battle until we get the monster formation we need. So, because I'm not going to sit here and just talk about nothing the whole time. Right now I'm just delaying to see if Shadow takes off. He doesn't. We're going to save, we're going to fast forward. I'll see you when my cats show up. Oh, that didn't take very long. Excellent. So yeah, these stray cats are actually very, very important. Provided Shadow doesn't leave us after this battle, we're donezo. Excellent. But it's pretty important that we actually meet this particular monster formation. Otherwise, we're going to have not a bad time, but a less good time than we otherwise would have. And now we can just make sure Shadow doesn't leave us by running from encounters between here and there. He won't leave us once we get into the Imperial camp. So we can just take off from here. So that's Shadow's other special ability. He's got this built-in innate ability. That was a weird way to end that combat. To his dog, Interceptor, can literally intercept attacks and then retaliate them. And I don't know if that's tied to his evasion stat or what. I think it's just X amount of time that will happen. The neat thing is, the way that's programmed into the game is as, essentially, he has an uncurable status ailment that is not affected by anything. Not equipment, not relics, not magic, nothing in the game. And because his character is the only one with that ailment, he's the only one with the Interceptor property. Later on in the game, we'll get a character who uses a type of magic called blue magic. And blue magic is monster magic, basically. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy series, you've probably played a game with a blue mage in it. And blue magic is, because it's kind of a obscure, kind of second-class form of magic, you can tell that the programmers did not take as much time to be careful about programming blue magic. And blue magic also tends to be very esoteric when it comes to what the spells do. A lot of blue magic spells just heal or do damage, but a lot of them have, like, weird effects. One of the blue magic spells, I believe it's Rippler, but it might have a different name in this version. What it does is it reads all the status ailments on the target and switches them with you. And they weren't careful enough to make sure that that didn't, like, it takes every status effect. They weren't careful enough to make sure that that would not also take the Interceptor effect. So, by use of this, I think it's called Rippler. Somebody will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, I'm certain. You can use that blue magic to kind of take the Interceptor effect off of Shadow and put it on yourself, and then you can use it again to take it off of yourself and put it on other characters. So we're going to go ahead and, what are we going to give Cyan here? We're going to give him both the Gigas Glove and the Hyper Wrist, because my man is just going to be attacking. Cyan is, mechanically, mathematically speaking, probably the worst character in the game. It's sad, but true. Because here's his special skill. His magic is butts. Giving him magic is no point. But he's got this special skill, and you have to wait for this meter to fill up. And you have to wait. And the whole time you're waiting, monsters are attacking you. Other characters are sitting there with their bars filled that can't input commands until you're ready to go. We played this game with a strategy guide. And there was no item in the strategy guide. There's no relic or anything that allows you to increase the speed of that sword tech meter, which baffles me. And I was sure at the time, because I came to start learning years later, that there was stuff in that strategy, or there was stuff in the game that was not in the strategy guide. And I was sure for years there's going to be something. Oh, first what we want to do is go ahead and give him this black belt, so he'll counterattack whenever he gets attacked. Another good reason to keep him in the front row. We're going to hit this treasure box. Nobody's here. Hide behind the box. So, unfortunately, I was wrong about that. Nothing in the game. There's no relic. There's nothing in the game that speeds up that Bushido meter. And that's all he can do, is sit there and wait for that Bushido meter to go up. This soldier doesn't care that we're running around inside the base. There's nothing in there yet, but... So we met Kefka a minute ago. I mean, we met Kefka back in Figure. We kind of meet him again. Now we're meeting General Leo. So the Empire has 3 generals. Kefka, Leo, and Celeste. Celeste turned out to be a traitor. We don't really understand why. There's lots of fan theories about what she did to earn the Emperor's ire. All we know is that she did turn traitor. Then we have Leo here. Leo is kind of a tragic character because he's a decent man who's in a position of power in the evil empire, and he doesn't want terrible things to happen to people, but he does work for an emperor who wants to do terrible things to quite a lot of people. And then there's Kefka, who is the third. Is he a general? They don't really ever call him a general. I think he might just be a peon at this point. Because Leo's in charge, and then Kefka takes over his command. Maybe I've just always assumed he's a general. But anyway, he's the third, like... There's the layer right underneath Emperor Gestal are his three confidants, who are Celeste, Kefka, and Leo. Even if Kefka's not technically a general. But he's a total sociopath. He has no moral compunctures whatsoever. And he is about to murder a lot of people on screen. Like, a lot of people. It's a real gut punch. Leo doesn't notice that we're hanging out by the wall. That's fine. So because this camp is situated right next to the water supply of Doma, we could poison everybody in Doma, basically. That's Kefka's plan. This is our first fight against Kefka, where he's just a little Imperial pissant. We're gonna knock him down. No, you don't look like a waiter. I've never gone to a restaurant where the waiters were dressed like messed up clowns and like to murder people. We're also gonna leave him there for a second, so we can go up here and fight the satellite. And this is another reason why Sabin is in the front row, because he's going to reply to this aura cannon with Berserk. So now Sabin's not going to get another aura cannon off. Now he's going to have to attack. Oh, now he's confused, which is terrible. That's really bad. Well, I don't know. We'll survive this, I'm sure. So now he's berserked and confused and has sap on him, so his HP will leak away. We got this, though. One shuriken at a time. Oh, that 80 damage, though. That's not good. There we go. That'll take care of it. And the counterattack. And he's berserk, so we're just going to sit here and chill. Actually, no, we're going to... I was going to heal, but I guess we didn't have to. So I have the green beret, which is going to increase Sabin's hit points a little bit more. Pop some potions. No cure spells in this party yet. The Mithril Glove is a relic that casts Protect on you. Protect is a status effect that cuts the amount of physical damage you take in half. And it's pretty good. But the Mithril Glove only casts it on you if you're already at low hit points. And my playstyle, I try just not to be at low hit points, if possible. If at all possible, I want to be at max hit points as often as we can. So... This is actually the first Final Fantasy game that has Desperation Attacks, which are called other things. They're called limit breaks and... like overdrive moves, and they're called all kinds of stuff throughout the series. So we've kind of doubled Sabin's damage output again, because now he's got the aura cannon, plus he's got the counterattack that he's going to throw out there quite a bit. So pretty good times, all things considered. But Desperation Attacks are very rare in this game. First of all, you have to be at almost critical HP in order to use them. Actually, you do have to be at critical HP. I think it's got to be like under 1/5 of your health. Then you have to select the attack command, and it has to be the attack command. It can't be like a rapid fire command. It can't be something that just emulates attack. It has to be the actual literal attack command. And then you have like a 1 in probably like 24 would be my guess, or maybe 36 chance of triggering the Desperation Attack. we will probably not see any Desperation Attacks over the course of the game. I've played this game a dozen times. I think I've seen a Desperation Attack maybe twice or 3 times over the course of all those playthroughs, unless I was specifically going out of my way to see them. That's something the strategy guy did mention back in the day, that the characters had Desperation Attacks and what they were. And once we knew some of the conditions, we actually went out and saw them all. It took us a couple hours, we sat down, we played in the game. Kefka's murdering everybody. Everybody in Doma. He's wiping out an entire population. The only survivors are Cyan and this blue hat guy, who immediately vanishes. We never see blue hat guy again. Quit playing with the stairs. Oh no, never mind, I'm a liar. He's right there. Blue hat guy. Bye, blue hat guy. Now we never see him again. The king is, I mean, this is a horrific scene. Kefka is a grade A asshole. So I could put Sabin in the back row, give Cyan a black belt, and have him counterattack. But then I'm giving up some of the extra attack power he would get from one of his other relics. Because right now he's got the Gigas Glove and the Hyper Wrists. So his attack command is pretty beefy, and I think I'm going to leave it alone like that. So he's still nowhere as good as Sabin, who has a super powerful magic attack and the counter attack. Yeah, poor Cyan. And here's Cyan's bedroom, and his wife. Like, he doesn't even get a goodbye scene with his wife and child. They're already dead when he steps into the room. Murdered child on the screen right there. I mean, this is the kind of storytelling that they were playing around with, that they were introducing with Final Fantasy VI. This kind of storytelling did not happen in RPGs before this. Sabin is missing a lot of health. Alright, let's get to work. He's just going to be berserked, I guess. Not berserked, but computer controlled for a minute. Some of his Bushido moves, they used to be called sword tech moves back in the SNES days, but some of his Bushido moves look really, really cool, and they're pretty powerful. It's just, there's never, ever, ever, ever a case where it's beneficial to sit and wait for his bar to fill up. He's got 8 Bushido moves, he learns more as he levels up, and like level 8 Bushido, level 7 and 8 are both really powerful, but to get to that, you've got to wait for like a regular, it's twice the size of a regular ATB bar. It's terrible. And on top of that, his equipment selection is not terrific. He does get some powerful gear, but he can't use... Final Fantasy games, the equipment selection tends to be very biased towards like regular one-handed swords, and Cyan can't use those. He has to use samurai swords, which have... There are some powerful ones, don't get me wrong, but he won't have access to the same powerful equipment set that some other characters will have. On top of that, he has like the worst magic stats in the game. So even just teaching him stuff through espers doesn't make him very powerful. So he's not very versatile, he doesn't have great stats, he doesn't have a great equipment set, and on top of all that, his special command is essentially worthless. Because every time you want to use his command, you have to waste time. Think of it this way. Inputting a level 4 Bushido command essentially means, which is a pretty powerful attack. He gets to attack 4 times in a row with that level 4 command. It essentially means skipping 2 other turns in your party, because you're waiting for that to fill up. Even if you time it to where his bar is filling up after you've already input everybody else's commands, probably by the time his bar is filled up, somebody else will have been ready to go. We get to play with Magitek Armor now. Booyah! So, no love for Cyan, unfortunately. I mean, I still use him a lot. I still think he's a really... I mean, like I said, he's still strong. Being the worst character in a game filled with great characters still means he's pretty good. I mean, you can give him relics that turn him into a monster with just his regular attack command. Nothing wrong with that. It's just you can do that with pretty much any character in the game. But even like a Genji glove, he can't make really good use of because his equipment set isn't as great. Oh well. Eventually we'll get him some good stuff. We'll see if we can't put Cyan through his paces. But I'm curious to see what his actual magic stat is, honestly. I want to check real quick. Compared to the other two. And Sabin and Shadow, neither of them are terrific magicians as it is. Like, they're... I think Sabin has one of the lower magic stats by default in the game, too. Well, let's just take a quick look. His magic is 25. Sabin's is 28. So they both have really low magic stats. I don't think any of his Bushido moves use magic, though. I think they're all based on his strength. So once again, we are going to save to make sure... We don't want to lose Shadow just yet. And there's no point going into Doma Castle, because Doma Castle is under Imperial command right now. Shoutouts to McLean for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.